My name's Delvin Wolgemuth. I was a junior in high school when the tornado hit. As Vern said, I was with him. What I remember, we first got onto the bus when we were getting ready to leave Lyons, was that the radio was on because we'd had it on the way there, and the announcers came across. They had like an emergency tone they sent out, and I remember, and it may be exaggerated over time, but it was, Hesston has just been devastated or totally destroyed by a tornado, something to that effect. So that set the tone kind of for the trip home. And then when we exited the bus for the tornado, that was quite interesting, and yeah, it does not take long to empty a bus. My first thought, or first memory of Hesston, after Vern had to show his ID to get us back into town, there was not a light one in town. I mean, all the electricity was out. It was just eerie, dark, black. My first visual sight when we got into town, we're getting off the exit ramp, and the restrooms at the golf course there at Randall and Lincoln, there was Jason's Pizza Hut oven over there by the restroom. That was my first. I was like, wow. So then we did make it into the school, and again, this is before social media, cell phones, anything. And I can't remember how they accounted for all of us kids, but they wouldn't let us go until they knew something of whereabouts of our folks. So, and then the school was a designated, I believe, Red Cross shelter. And I think before we left, some cots and stuff had already started arriving, and whoever was there, we were helping unload. So,
Before we end, I would just like for them to share with you, why is it important to tell this story? Like I told you before, it's Civil War, the pyramids, but what I hope you will do over spring break is I hope you will ask someone, tell me your tornado story. Many of you have grandparents. If it's not a grandparent, it's a neighbor. You have teachers here, but I hope you will ask someone to share their story. One, for you, because hearing a first-person account is important, but also for them, because I have, in the last 3 weeks, as we've been preparing for this week and these events, realized how important it is for people to have a chance to tell a story. And it is our prayer that you never have a story this difficult to tell, but you do have stories, and hopefully someday someone will ask you. So I would encourage you to ask someone, but we'll just start with you, Dean. Why is this important, and why does it matter?
Well, I don't know what importance or not, but it was just brought to my attention again that day there was like 59 tornadoes in the area, and it's kind of more, unbelievable that we all kind of survived with just me seeing 1 or 2 tornadoes, but with that many, you just don't go out and chase them. And the other thing is the sense of community, the help that arrived from neighboring towns, and other people in town just helping clean up. It was just totally amazing.
I think the lesson that I carried forward with me was you just never know what's going to happen. It was a really beautiful afternoon until about 4:30 when those clouds started rolling in. And so you never know what's going to happen. You need to be prepared. I had gone through a manager training school about 6 months prior to the tornado, and they told us at the manager's school how to handle yourself in a tornado. And so when you do these drills and you hear this information about how to protect yourself and protect the people around you, pay close attention to that, because you never know, someday you may need that information. And then I just want to reiterate what Dean said, that sense of community with everybody pitching in and helping each other out. Within just a couple of minutes of us coming out of that bathroom at the Pizza Hut, I remember seeing every police car, every ambulance, every fire truck from just about every city in Harvey County just kind of rushing into town off of the interstate there. And you have a choice to make. You can either be a victim, or you can be one of those that pitches in and helps. And it's the folks that pitch in and help to make life good for the rest of us.
I think disasters like this, I think there's always something that can be learned from them. In this particular case, this tornado was unique. It was on the ground, as I said earlier, for like 120 miles with lots of preparation. It was a sunny day before it hit Hesston. It was a beautiful day. The birds were singing, the sun was out. Quite unusual. But as I said earlier, it allowed us time to prepare, gave us time to alert the public that there was a danger approaching. Something I want you to keep in mind is more times than not, tornadoes don't give you that warning. They drop out of the sky anywhere. It may be 5 minutes away, it may be 5 seconds away. So when you hear the tornado sirens, that means danger is imminent and you need to take shelter. Again, we were very fortunate that day in the fact that we had so much warning and time to prepare. Were there people outside when the tornado went through? Yeah, people still make bad choices, but they were fortunate. And not Dean, everybody but Dean. People make bad choices, and in this case, they were fortunate that they weren't injured in that situation. But when you hear the tornado siren, take cover and again, prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
I think one of the lessons you're learning in high school right now is be a participant. Dean talked about the sense of community. Libby, our librarian, had a professional interviewer at the library yesterday, and I had a chance to visit with her. And she asked me about one of the things that I remembered that was not so good. And there were a lot of people driving through town that were gawkers. And I remember it irritated me. And I felt like, get out of the car and help us. We have a lot of help. Let's be a participant.
I'd forgotten about the Gawkers, but my family had owned a dry cleaner shop in the strip mall where the decorating store was, and with all the warning, everybody was okay. But we were trying to clean up there, and people kept driving by, and I kept thinking, "Wow, thanks for the help." But the one thing I'd say is pay attention, like Russ said, pay attention to the weather. I know in high school it's the last thing on your mind, but it really is important. I know for us here at Hesston, in the emergency services, if the tornado sirens go off in Hesston, there is actually a real threat. So, I mean, know that we don't do it just for fun. We take it very seriously. So please pay attention to the weather.
Well, thank you. Would you please thank these people who've given